Message sent. The Raiders are for real. It's the home opener at Allegiant. With the Panthers coming to town, NFL Network's Rich Eisen joins the show to tell us why he has believed in the Raiders since day one. Plus, the recipe is simple. Get the ball to Davante Adams. The All-Pro receiver stops by the show. And can Max Crosby serve up back-to-back Defensive Player of the Week performances? We talk about it with former Raider Richie Incognito. The Silver and Black Show starts now. Welcome into the Silver and Black Show. I'm Amber Theoharis. The Raiders put the league on notice when they beat the Ravens on the road last week. Yes, it feels good to beat a team that was labeled a contender, but perhaps the best part is the Raiders didn't even play that great. They still beat a high-caliber team. With some cleaning up, it is exciting to think what this team's upside could be. And a man that has pointed out this team's potential since the preseason is Rich Eisen from NFL Network, and he joins us now. Rich, welcome into the Silver and Black Show, and I love that we get you straight from the set of the Rich Eisen Show. It's good to see you, old friend.
It's good to see you as well, Amber. I'm thrilled also to say that my show's on 10 a.m. to noon Pacific every day on Raider Nation Radio, 9:20 a.m. right there in Las Vegas, Nevada. So it's all about the Silver and Black right now.
It is. You got it covered here in Nevada. Hey, you were, as I said, you were one of the people that in this offseason you gave some love, especially on the Rich Eisen Show, to this team, as a team that could possibly make some noise. What did you see then, and what have you seen now through 2 weeks?
Well, I liked, obviously, the way they finished the season. And as long as the quarterback play of Gardner Minshew, or if Aiden O'Connell gets in there, holds up, then the way that they finished with Antonio Pierce, that cost them a spot at getting somebody in the draft, won't really come home to roost in a way. But the thing that I really liked is the way they finished, the way that Max Crosby was kind of pounding the table on his own podcast for Antonio Pierce, and Mark Davis saying, okay, I hear you. But the addition of Christian Wilkins was really a coup. I really thought that adding him to a line that already was stout enough and caused enough problems of protection for their opponents because of Max Crosby, I thought that was a coup. I thought that was huge, and clearly, it's worked out. I know they didn't win in Los Angeles against the Chargers, but that's a road division game, and hopefully for Vegas they'll get one of those in Denver, if not shocking again for a second straight year in Arrowhead. But certainly Max Crosby with 2 sacks, 4 tackles for loss against the Ravens. It's not just his ability, but the fact that you got Wilkins in there needing some significant attention. And I think the Raiders defensively are a much tougher group than what they put on the field last year.
And on your show this week, you said last week, many people looked at Gardner Minshew and said, that ain't it. That was your words. You said, then he found 1-7 in a way that 1-7 wasn't really found last season, as we saw on Netflix.
Right.
What are your thoughts on Minshew after watching last week, especially in the fourth quarter?
Well, obviously 30 for 38, the numbers were pretty darn good for him. And when I say, a lot of people are saying that ain't it, I'm definitely somebody that needs to see it from him in this opportunity. I mean, much being made of Russell Wilson having a final opportunity, in my estimation, coming into this season for his career in Pittsburgh. There's not many starting jobs, as we all know. There's only 32 of them in the National Football League, and Minshew having another opportunity this year from jump as a week 1 starter. I don't know how many of the other opportunities he's going to have in his career if it doesn't work out for him here in Las Vegas. But, back out here in the Pacific time zone, where he started making his bones in the northwest corner of this country, he's got a certain sensibility and a certain way that I think fans of the Raiders can appreciate. He kind of looks like a Raider. He sounds like a Raider. He acts like one. And when I say he found 17, that's the way to do it. I mean, 9 catches, $110, touchdown. Like, that's what Davante Adams is used to. That's what he wasn't getting last year with significance. And again, when he was on the receiver show on Netflix, that was a big part of this off-season conversation, is how happy he is, and the fact that they didn't come out with a first-round quarterback to potentially build upon and around with Davante Adams. That was a question mark. We'll see how it works with the Raiders and Minshew, but so far so good. That was a stone's win in Baltimore, and you know how tough it is to win out there in the Mid-Atlantic.
Yeah, I've only covered about 80-plus games in that stadium, so I fully understand that. You know what? You brought up they didn't get a quarterback in the draft. Everybody right now, though, is talking about the man they did get, Brock Bowers. And at the time of the draft, and I'm going to put myself in this, I'm going to take accountability. I was scratching my head a little bit at that pick. I think a lot of people were, because they knew this team needed a quarterback and a quarterback-heavy draft. But how consequential right now do you think that Brock Bowers pick will be to the Raiders franchise now and for years to come when we look back on it?
Well, obviously a head scratcher in the fact that they already had a tight end that was performing very well in the early parts of his career in Mayer. But this is the quintessential take the best player on the board that's available pick. I mean, again, I wasn't in the room, and I really haven't spoken to anybody in the Raiders organization to back that up. But Bowers had to be the top guy on their board. I mean, when Bowers was doing his Brock Bowers type things in college before getting hurt with Georgia, he was being bandied about as a top 5 choice in the NFL draft when he came out, but he was hurt and we didn't see much from him last year. And I think a lot of people forget what a game-changing, game-breaking type of player he can be. And, you know, you want to play smash mouth football. You're bringing Wilkins in. You're trying to get control of the line of scrimmage, and you want to start pounding people with Zamir White once he can potentially get going. And you also want to play action. You want to find your guy 17 down the field. Another way to do it is to have a 2 tight end set, with Brock Bowers being one of those guys. You know, 9 catches, 98 yards. That's what we're talking about. And you take a look at so many other teams, obviously Denver being one that I think, you know, your fans are most familiar with because it's an AFC West team. How many players on that team have, on that offense, have game-changing, game-breaking abilities that might keep a defensive coordinator up for a little bit, or have them circle a player in a meeting and saying, let's not let this person beat us? And the Raiders have another one now. And that's what you need to do. I'm not saying for sure that he was their best player on the board and like, screw it, we already have a tight end, let's get another one. And I don't think that was their plan going into the draft, but Bowers sitting there was beyond a no-brainer for me, for anybody. You know, I thought he would go even sooner. I thought the Jets were going to take him and say, we've got Rodgers for maybe 1, maybe 2 more years. Let's get him another weapon. Let's get him a guy at a spot that we could use to shore up here and get maybe a 2 tight end set with Conklin. They didn't do it. They went offensive line because I guess that's the way they wanted to keep Rodgers around and upright. And I don't blame him, because we saw what happened 4 snaps into the season last year for him. But I think Bowers is a significant player, and one who I think is only going to get better.
You talk about the 2 tight end set and the 12 personnel. Seeing what we've seen so far with Zamir White not being able to get going so far, it's not to say that he won't. Do you feel like this should maybe be a pass-first type of an offense rather than what Antonio Pierce said he wanted, which is what normal defensive coaches say, is I want to be a run-first kind of offense?
No, I think you stay at it, Amber. Just stay at it. I mean, we saw stuff. Zamir White got me to my fantasy final last year, so I'm a little bit
You're very
biased.
loyal.
Oh, no. As soon as Josh Jacobs, whatever was going on with him, where, you know, it was either obvious he wasn't coming back or he truly was hurt, and he wasn't starting, he wasn't playing. I saw what Zamir White could do, and we haven't seen that from him in the first 2 games of this year. I think we might find out the front 7 of the Chargers is better than most, and obviously the Ravens, we know they're better than most. Let's see what happens with the Panthers coming to town. Obviously, this is a team that is desperate. There's no other way to describe a team that benches their first overall drafted quarterback just 18 games into his career, 2 into this season, and starts Andy Dalton on the road. They're a desperate team. Let's see what happens. I would just stay the course. And you take a look at the Raiders' next few games. You know, you've got a game against Carolina. Obviously, it's the NFL. You can't just chalk things up as a win. But for the Raiders after that, a home date with Cleveland at Denver. They got a chance to get that one on the road. Home for Pittsburgh at the Rams, as we know, they're all banged up. Who knows, maybe Kupp might be back then. Before the big game, that's the one that I would circle if I were them. You've got the defending champs coming in, and I'm sure, again, prideful folks like Pierce and Crosby and Davante Adams didn't like seeing the Chiefs picking confetti out of their hair, celebrating the first back-to-back championship in 20-plus years in their own building. They'd love to just, open the window and air the stench out. And I'm looking forward to seeing how they're going to handle that game. And it can really all start with that comeback win in Baltimore and springboard forward. We'll see what happens.
There's one thing for sure is that Antonio Pierce has certainly changed at least the culture emotionally here in Las Vegas. I got one last question for you, and we thank you for your time. If the Raiders do make the playoffs in 2024, who or what will be the reason? What would have gone right?
Minshew. It's a quarterback-driven league. It's that simple. It's that simple. You know, a quarterback-driven league. There's no other more adaptable organism in sports than an NFL defense. And, obviously defensive coordinators know who Gardner Minshew is and know what his abilities are and what his limitations may be. And if he takes the most of this opportunity and raises his game and starts slinging it around and, plays like the old, Pac-12 Washington State Cougar swashbuckling guy, just perfect for a Raider. The autumn wind is a pirate, and we'll see what happens, and that would be it. That's it. I think it truly is that simple. Can Gardner Minshew be a playoff quarterback of a Raiders team that does have the parts around him to make a playoff run? That is what I think we will be talking about if they are so fortunate to play in a week 19.
Yeah, hopefully by January, they will be pillaging just for fun, to go with your poem there. Thanks for joining us, Rich Eisen. You can catch the Rich Eisen Show every weekday on Roku from 9 to noon Pacific. Rich, we appreciate your time. We know you're a busy man. Thank you.
Good catching up, Amber.
Good to see you. Coming up on the Silver and Black Show, he was a bad dude back in the day. Former Raider offensive lineman Richie Incognito stops by to tell us why this Raiders defense could be one of the best in the NFL.
Every year, millions fly with us at Allegiant because together, we go places. We see old friends and try new things. We laugh. We really like to laugh. And reconnect. We remember, and we wander, which leads to wonder. From how we go, to where we go, to what we do when we get there, we go further, together.
Some days are long, some nights never end. I mark the fleeting seconds flight, I pray to the coming wind. And time like snow never stood around for me. I love every sky I've ever seen.
Taste is not an option. Taste is everything. 1800, the world's most awarded tequila.
The Silver and Black Show is brought to you by Cox, proud partner of the Las Vegas Raiders. 1800 Tequila, official partner of the Raiders. Taste is everything. Please drink responsibly. And by Allegiant, the official airline of the Raiders. Low fares, non-stop flights, only at Allegiant.com.
Max Crosby at the 18-yard line. Holy cow, with a loss of 2.
Well, if that doesn't get you excited, I have got nothing for you. One man who probably would want to face the Raiders defense today because he was that type of competitor is former Raiders offensive lineman Richie Incognito, who joins us right now. Richie, it's so good to see you, and I love all the silver and black stuff behind you.
Awesome. Good to see you too, Amber.
Well, I know you're watching Max Crosby in these last couple of games. He is the AFC Defensive Player of the Week. And I don't usually like to get bogged down by stats, but let me read you these numbers. 2 sacks, 4 tackles for loss, and a pass deflection. That was all in one game against the Ravens. Have you ever seen anything like him?
Unbelievable. You know, Max is such a great player. He's so dynamic. He demands so much attention. And even when offenses give him attention, he still finds a way to make plays. You know, it's great to see him out there playing with passion. And, you know, you want to talk about making some huge plays. Those 2 sacks came up in critical situations. He had that one huge run stuff on Derrick Henry. And that really gives the defense and the team life.
It does. And not just that, his leadership. Rich Gannon, he said on the radio that he never had a defensive player come over to him after he threw an interception and encourage him. He said, usually they were MFing me. You know, usually they're telling me to get it together. What did we learn in that moment about Max Crosby's leadership?
You know, he's been growing as a leader since he's come into this league. You know, being a leader on a team, you know, you have to establish yourself as a dominant presence on the field. And then you have to hold yourself up to the standard each and every day so that the guys can see that and then they gain trust and respect for you. So him grabbing Gardner as he's coming off the field, I think that was a huge turning point in this game. Gardner just turned the ball over. You know, he's down in the dumps. He's getting ready to go over there, sit on the sidelines with those negative feelings. Max intercepts him, gives him a couple words of encouragement, and next thing you know, where the next time the Raiders hit the field, the Raiders offense hits the field, they just march right down the field and go down and score. So that was awesome to see Max. You know, he's been growing into this for a couple years now, and it's great because I got to see him as a rookie, and now he's the veteran presence, captain, and he's really the glue that holds the team together.
And it does let everybody else on the team, not just Gardner, know that he's got your back too. If he's going to do that in that moment to the quarterback, he'll do it to me as well if I'm down. I know you're watching this defense closely, and Max gets so much attention, but this defense as a unit is playing so well right now. Who is another key member that is catching your eye?
You know, Christian Wilkins, you know, he's not big in the stat category. You're not going to see a bunch of sacks out of him. But what you see is he's very, very dynamic. He is very sudden. He's very quick. And on one of Max Crosby's sacks, his quick movement was able to take up 2 blockers and free Max. So I think Christian in the middle, you know, I kind of say he's like a racquetball. You know, he's kind of all over the place. He's bouncing around here. He's moving around here. You know, he's taking up some attention off of Max. So I think it's great. You know, Robert Spillane, I was really surprised with Robert Spillane last year. You know, he came in, he was kind of, you know, not really a known quantity, you know, more of a kind of a reserve linebacker special teamer. And he's come in and he's played lights out. The guy's a tackling machine. He's got the first turnover for the defense this year. I really, really enjoy watching him play. And then on the edges, you know, Jack Jones and Jacorian Bennett, they have been doing a tremendous job outside locking those guys down. We haven't been talking about them much, but that's a good thing when it comes to defensive backs.
And Richie, you are a team leader. You're an outspoken guy. This Raiders team right now is the least penalized in the NFL. When a team is disciplined like that, usually who is responsible for that?
Well, it starts with the head coach. It starts with the head coach making the guys cognizant of the fact that, hey, we're going to be in some tight ball games. We need to be efficient in the penalty department. We can't have penalties. I saw Antonio talking after the game with Baltimore, and I think the big thing was, they were going into Baltimore, and Baltimore is one of the most penalized teams in the NFL right now. I think they're averaging around 9 a game. So for AP to make a point of that to the team, it starts with the head coach, and then it filters down to your leaders, and then you go out there and you practice it every single day, play within the rules, no penalties, and it leads to wins.
I got to ask you about this offensive line. Of course, you being an offensive lineman, what are you seeing so far? What's going on, and how do they fix it?
It's been a shaky start for the guys up front. It's tough anytime you don't have your 5 starters in spring ball, in training camp, getting ready to start the season. So we've been seeing them plug and play in some guys. Obviously Colton coming back off an injury. He didn't have the reps in the spring, in training camp, in preseason. So Colton's a little rusty. Left guard's been kind of up and down. We've been counting on Jackson Powers-Johnson to be out there, but he's been limited so far in his participation. And then the right side, you basically have 3 guys who are entrenched as your starters. You have Andre James, Dylan Parham, Thayer Munford. So what I'm seeing out of the offensive line is just sloppy play, some sloppy technique, miscommunications. I think one of the sacks in the Baltimore game was a miscommunication. Colton should have blocked out. He blocked down, left the DN go free. So it's definitely an area that they got to get cleaned up. They got to get the run game going. They got to protect Gardner. I think we saw in the second half of that Baltimore game, if they give Gardner time to throw the ball, he can get completions down the field.
You mentioned Jackson Powers-Johnson. He is expected to make his NFL debut. We're expecting to see him out there. What do you see in him? And as a rookie lineman, what are some of the challenges?
I haven't seen very much out of Jackson because he didn't practice in preseason when I was there coaching with the team. He's been limited in practice, so he's been getting limited reps right now. I hope to see a physical mauler. I hope to see a guy that comes out there and brings the emotion, brings the fire, that kind of gets those other guys going and fires them up. Being a rookie offensive lineman, I started 16 games as a rookie offensive lineman. I played left guard, center, right guard. It's a constant learning process. There's college speed, there's NFL practice speed, and then there's NFL game speed. And you're out there trying to play to your technique, and you're out there playing against guys who are highly skilled and who have a lot of reps. So it's a constant learning process. It's going to be up and down like with any rookie. He's got to get out there, get the reps on tape, learn from those reps, learn from his mistakes, and then continue growing his game from there. So hopefully we get a chance to see him on the field this week. And then, it's only up from here. What he puts on tape this week should get better and better and better all the way through the season. And, hopefully by the end of the season, he's a contributing factor and a dominant force on the offensive line.
You did mention they got to get the run game going. And right now, the Panthers have one of the worst run defenses in the NFL. How do they get that going? I mean, Antonio Pierce has not minced his words. He's called him out.
Yeah, Antonio has definitely put the spotlight on the offensive line this week, running the football. It's a combination of factors. They haven't had their starting 5 practicing together, and that is huge. Even having your starting 5 starting 5 plus 2 backup offensive linemen, reserve offensive linemen, all of them getting reps in the spring, in preseason really matters. What I would like to see is them kind of mix in some different elements. They've exclusively been in the zone run game. We saw in Baltimore that they hit on some different types of runs. What I'm talking about is man scheme, gap scheme runs. And that gives the opportunity for the guys up front to get double teams. We saw it in years past with Josh Jacobs and the type of offense that McDaniels tried to run. They wanted to move the ball straight downhill. And what that does is it gives the offensive line a chance to get double teams, move those guys off the spot, control the line of scrimmage. Right now we have the zone run scheme implemented, and it's really a lot of lateral movement, a lot of chinks in the armor right now. They're not on the same page. They're not fully integrated into the system. So what I'd like to do is just mix in some different elements, run some gap scheme, get that double team on the front side, pull the backside guard, run counter action, pull the guard around and lead the back. I think it comes down to the running backs too. Zamir, is more of a downhill runner. He is growing in the zone game, and the zone game is all about feel. The zone game is, hey, here's your starting point. Here's your aiming point. This is what you're looking at, but you have to read that backside. And if that backside is open, you got to put your foot in the ground, make one cut and hit it. Zamir right now, I feel like they're running out of the gun and they're running zone scheme, and Zamir's getting the ball, and he's okay. If it's a 4-hole play, if it's a 6-hole play, if it's an 8-hole play, he's running to that spot and not really feeling the defense, not really feeling the cutback or feeling the blocks up front. So I think to enable Zamir and get him going, get more downhill runs, get guys going backwards instead of going sideways, and then let Zamir pick his lane. He's much more comfortable in a man blocking scheme, gap blocking scheme where it's, hey, here's your aiming point, hit that thing downhill as fast as possible and sprint through the line of scrimmage.
It's funny, you call it feel. Last week on this same show, another offensive lineman, Brian Baldinger, called it vision. But I think you're talking about the same thing, the ability to put your foot in the ground and redirect yourself. And I agree with you. What he did in college was more of a downhill runner, and that's what he is more comfortable with. Let's talk about Gardner Minshew. You did say if he has enough time, we saw that he can make those completions. What did you see from him in the first half versus the second half, especially that fourth quarter that was different?
Yeah, it was tough sledding in the first half. They couldn't get the run game going, so they couldn't get their play action going. They were completing a lot of balls around the line of scrimmage, a lot of balls behind the line of scrimmage, a lot of balls, 1 to 3 yards within the line of scrimmage. And then you saw in the second half, they got it going a little bit. They kind of abandoned the run game. They went to more of a drop back. And that's when you saw the big plays coming, the big throws to Brock, the great throw and catch to Davante down the sideline. I'd like to see them do that a little more. The emphasis is going to be on the run game. Carolina's defense is not very good at stopping the run. But what I would like to see them do is, maybe some hurry up offense, maybe, some drives where they come out and exclusively just stay in that same personnel, try and set them up and just, hey, drop back a couple times in a row and get Gardner in rhythm.
And that's what I was going to ask you. It seems like this identity of this offense, it's AP wanted to be a run-first team, but the offense is kind of forcing itself into a different identity. Should this maybe be more of a pass-first team that then allows the run game to open up?
Absolutely. That's what I think would benefit them. You pass the ball to open up the run game. So when you're able to pass the ball efficiently on early downs, what you do is you get light boxes, and then you're able to get into that run game, going into the game. And it's been tough sledding both games, getting the run game going, and that's kind of stalled the pass game. So, hey, let's change things up. We haven't been efficient in the run game. Let's start throwing the ball on early downs, getting it into manageable positions, and then, getting those run looks on second and third down where you have light boxes and you're able to rip off good chunks of yards.
All right, Richie, fill in the blank here. The Raiders will win if blank.
The Raiders will win if they control the line of scrimmage. I watched Carolina's last 2 games, and it's a tough watch. They have a hard time stopping the run. They have a hard time stopping the pass. Their offensive line has not done a great job protecting Bryce Young. I think that's what led to the benching. He doesn't have great pocket presence, but he's definitely feeling that rush. You're seeing some happy feet and some rush throws. So I think it's important for the offense and defensive line to control the line of scrimmage, control the pace of this game, and really allow the Raiders offense to show you what they are at their full potential.
Can't wait to see it. Can't wait to be out at Allegiant Stadium for the home opener. And Richie, thanks so much for joining us. Hopefully we'll have you back on the show later in the season.
Sounds good. Thanks for having me.
All right, coming up next, ooh, that boy is sweet. Davante Adams joins the show to talk toe drag swag, shocking the AFC, and more. 1-7 next up on the Silver and Black Show.
In 300 feet, turn left.
With Cox's fiber-powered internet, you can do brilliant things.
Exit approaching.
Like upload your voice to Dad's GPS in no time flat.
And I miss you, Daddy. Happy birthday.
Get multi-gig download speeds powered by fiber. Upgrade your internet today with Cox, the nation's fastest internet provider. Limited availability in select areas.
Some days are long, some nights never end. I'm on the fleeting seconds flight. I pray to the coming wind.
Every year, millions fly with us at Allegiant because together, we go places. We see old friends and try new things. We laugh. We really like to laugh. And reconnect. We remember. And we wander, which leads to wonder. From how we go to where we go to what we do when we get there, we go further together.
In 300 feet, turn left.
With Cox's fiber-powered internet, you can do brilliant things.
Exit approaching.
Like upload your voice to Dad's GPS in no time flat.
And I miss you, Daddy. Happy birthday.
Get multi-gig download speeds powered by fiber. Upgrade your internet today with Cox, the nation's fastest internet provider. Limited availability in select areas.
He's into the end zone for Adams, and it's caught. Touchdown Raiders.
Oh man, that was one of the greatest catches of all time. Davante Adams, so glad to see you again.
Good to see you too.
I'll tell you, I kind of want to check your toes. Do you have like lead in them? Like, how was that even possible?
Just to staple them down? I don't know. Sometimes it's not me. I'm just the vehicle, and it's the good Lord just taking over and taking the wheel. So glad we made it together.
We
But
made it.
yeah.
I swear though, I bet you probably watched that Michael Jackson video, "Smooth Criminal," as a kid. Did you used to try to do it, and
I
then you
used
just
to
got
try,
good at
and
it?
I would just fall. I could never. It would fall just like that. In football, it's better because you get the ground, but falling on the cement when I was younger wasn't as graceful.
No, where does that rank though, all time for your catches? I feel like it's going to get an ESPY award.
You think so?
I do.
Man.
I would nominate it.
Well, I appreciate that. I don't know. It's already been some crazy stuff going on within college, the NFL, but I would say it's top 10 for sure.
Yeah.
Top 10 for sure.
It has to be. How could it not? What did the win in Baltimore say about the 2024 Raiders?
Well, it said that we have the potential to be a really good team. And obviously we just went out there and beat a really good team in a hostile environment. A team that has been one of the best over the past few years. So it should show us that, we have that potential, but we got to do a few more things more consistently before I can say, that's fully our identity. But we definitely headed in the right direction.
Gardner Minshew headed in the right direction in the fourth quarter, especially. What came alive for him in the second half and especially the fourth quarter?
Well, I think he just gotten a little bit of a rhythm, which, as a quarterback, that's something that's extremely, helpful from the staff to, the guys out there catching balls, just getting them in a rhythm. Flow state is where you want to be playing this game. So I think he kind of entered that mixed with, Max talking to him. I spoke at halftime, and everybody kind of came together to just lock in on what we had to do to finish strong. And he's a really mentally tough guy. So, it wasn't much for him, but he definitely had a great finish to that game.
You've said that a couple times on a couple programs that he's a mentally tough guy. And I feel like, I've covered a lot of athletes. I feel like you're one of the most mentally tough guys that I've seen out on the field. What is it about him that allows you to give him that kind of respect and that label?
It's just the security that he has, about himself as a player, his taking accountability, and, his role in this thing. And, you see it from different guys, different levels of it. And I like to think that our team as a whole, has that same mentality. But, you can see it in his face. He throws a bad ball, he's shaking his head like that. He throws a good ball, he just kind of stays, even, which is where you want to be playing this game. It's tough to ride that emotional roller coaster.
It's that Mississippi swag. They're just laid back from Mississippi, aren't they?
Maybe that's what it is.
Roll with the punches.
Maybe that's what it is, yeah.
I do feel like this offense is kind of organically forcing its own identity. I do realize I'm talking to a receiver right now when I say this, but AP says that he wants to run the ball. But after what we've seen, does it feel like maybe opening up, spreading it out is not a bad idea first, and maybe that opens up the run game?
Potentially. Whatever, I'm not the coach, so I don't get to make the call. But at the end of the day, whatever we do best is, the way we should roll. And I think regardless of whether or not we want to, run the ball a million times. You can't be last in the league in rushing. You know, I think that that's more what's on his mind is trying to be efficient, not necessarily running the ball a certain amount of times, but making sure, you know, our yards per carry and, you know, we getting guys moving backward off the line of scrimmage. So that's what we want to kind of focus on in the run game.
I think what's interesting about this team is that the offense has played, and I'm just, you know, we keep it 100 with each other, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
this offense has played really about 2 really good quarters in 8.
Yeah.
And so I think the good news is you still beat a really good team
Right.
doing that,
Yeah.
but you haven't even scratched the surface. Who on this offense do you feel like is really poised to elevate over the next couple of weeks?
Well, I think everybody has had moments so far. I think definitely, you know, I'd like to say Zaire right there. I mean, or Zamir, excuse me, and having him, you know, not be where he wants to yards-wise right now. You know, efficiency, I think is coming, and we're working real hard on the run game to try to get him in positions where he can go out there and be who he is. So I'll probably say him. Everybody else has already, you know, kind of made some plays and gotten in a little bit of a groove, but I'll say between Tuck and Zamir, those are 2 big ones.
Yeah, I think we're waiting for Trey as well.
Yeah.
How does Brock Bowers make life easier for Davante Adams?
Well, I mean, he's just another threat. It kind of changes things. You can go out there in 12, 11, however, whatever personnel you want and creating all type of mismatch. And, you know, you got to give him a certain amount of respect. You can't not guard him, and you can barely man-to-man cover him with the guys that are obviously assigned to cover him. So, you know, it just allows for me to get a little bit more lenient coverage than maybe what I've gotten in the past. And we saw that a few times at the end of the game, which is why we were able to convert on a few plays.
The Panthers' defense has struggled. You know, everybody knows that the team has struggled, but there are some good players on that team. You know, J.C. Horn's over there. How do you not overlook this Panthers team? Has there been a lot of internal talk about not doing that?
Well, I mean, I think it's something that we've been made aware of, and, you know, the coaching staff obviously talks about that, but it's something that when you're a pro and you are, you know, locked into what you need to do, you don't need to really be reminded about stuff like that because this is the NFL, and you understand that, you know, you can't beat anybody without the proper effort and execution regardless. So for us, it's just locking in on the details and going out there and trying to treat them like they're the best team in the world regardless of, you know, what the record is.
Everybody knows that in the offseason you became a boy dad. You're already a girl dad, and you became a boy dad. Is this going to be Baby Boy's first football game, or was he on the road?
No, this will be his first regular season game. Yeah, he went to a preseason game. He was there.
He went to it like he drove himself there.
No, he drove. He pulled up in his Bentley.
Baby Bentley.
Yeah, but
we got to get that.
He'll be at this one, and hopefully he can see his dad in there getting it in.
That is so awesome. Do you think Raider Nation is going to be excited to see you? Are you excited to see them?
Oh, I mean, we've been waiting to see him. We've been seeing him on the road, which is, you know, good. Obviously, going to LA, we had a pretty decent turnout, and then they showed up in Baltimore as well. But coming home, you know, protecting his home turf is something that means a lot to us, and we know it means a lot to them.
Davante, congrats on a strong start to the season, a big win over the Ravens, and we'll see you out there against the Panthers.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Coming up, why everyone from Gronk to big-time scouts are talking about Brock Bowers. Next, in One Last Thing.
Taste is not an option. Taste is everything. 1800, the world's most awarded tequila.
Every year, millions fly with us at Allegiant because together, we go places. We see old friends and try new things. We laugh. We really like to laugh. And reconnect. We remember. And we wander, which leads to wonder. From how we go to where we go to what we do when we get there, we go further together.
Some days are long, some nights never end.
27 yards, and it's first and goal at the 1.
The Silver and Black Show has been brought to you by Cox, proud partner of the Las Vegas Raiders, Ticketmaster, the official ticket marketplace of the Las Vegas Raiders and the NFL, and by Allegiant, the official airline of the Raiders. Low fares, non-stop flights, only at Allegiant.com. Raiders.com is your home for all things Silver and Black, featuring exclusive interviews with players and coaches, breaking news, and daily content. Raiders.com keeps you up to date all season long. Time now for one last thing. There is no doubt Raider Nation will be fired up to welcome this team back to Allegiant. For many, it's a chance to see the Raiders' first-round draft pick, Brock Bowers, for the very first time. This rookie has been the most productive tight end in all of the NFL through 2 weeks, and that has everyone talking.
Yeah, Bowers was awesome. This second week in a row, and Buck, I don't think that it was an exaggeration when I said it at the time. I thought he'd be their best offensive weapon this year. You're seeing it through a couple games. His speed, his ability to line up all over the field. They're getting Brock Bowers the ball in space. And for a team that doesn't have a ton, he's already proving himself to be a good selection there for Tom Telesco with his first pick as the Raiders GM.
Guy's a winner. The guy's a playmaker. Whenever the ball's thrown to him, I love his explosiveness after the catch. And I feel like he's on track, to be better than myself. I mean, I don't think he can, dominate in the trenches the way I dominated in the trenches, but just overall as a pass-catching tight end, I think he can surpass me in many situations.
Wow, that is saying a lot. Take a look at this number. Right now, Brock Bowers is the 13th best receiver in all of football. As for tight ends, he has more receiving yards than Travis Kelce and Mark Andrews combined. The young Georgia product sure has given Raider Nation something to be excited about. And this weekend, from the national anthem to the Too Short halftime show featuring Tretch and Big Boy, Sunday's home opener at Allegiant is sure to be a banger. Whistles, by the way, in case you were wondering, they're not allowed at Allegiant Stadium, but if they were, I know Raider Nation would be blowing them. Kickoff is set for 1:05 Pacific. Get there early. It's Panthers, Raiders. We're going to see you out there. Enjoy the weekend, everyone.